Hello, CSP Hot Hands fans. Brett here. I'm launching my book, How to Lead What You Should Have Learned in Business School, and I could really use your help. I'm putting together a group of people that will get early access to the ebook for free. All I ask is that if you love it, give it a 5-star review after you read it. You'd also get early access to the paperback launch price that'll be under $10. What I've done is taken my 17 years in the business and broken that experience down into bite-sized snippets for you. Almost every story and lesson I share is from my time at Cutco. Whether you're a Hall of Fame CSP, new events team member, or you're a manager, I think you'll love it. If you want in, go to linktree/CSP60 and tap the Join Brett's Book Launch button. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. Either way, thanks for being here. Let's start the show. You are the string queen. What are the habits that go into becoming a marathon runner as a CSP versus a sprinter who can burn out easily?
You would think that in 4 years, if I have a string of at least 1,000, I'm working like a dog, like all the time. My manager likes to mention too, like I go on vacations a lot. Those weeks that I feel like make it or break it. But for me, I had to hit my string. Tuesday right before I leave, or the Monday when I get back, I'm fully stacking that day. I get my momentum right away. How do I get back into it? How do I rebuild the rhythm and the schedule? No, the schedule's already waiting for me.
Your string is your standard. I don't care what the situation is. I'm not missing my string. So how do I do both? I know the assignment. It's to not drop my string. So what do I need to do to set that up? Thanks for joining us on the CSP Hot Hands 60 Minutes of Fire podcast. My name's Brett Wiggins and I get to serve as your host. So what is a CSP? CSP is a Cutco sales professional. There are a lot of them out there and they've all got a different answer to the question, why do you sell so much? Our mission is to find out the answer to that question from as many of them as possible. These next 60 minutes are designed for Cutco sales reps who desire to learn from our best in the field. So we interview top sales professionals from around the country with questions provided by their peers to make all that happen. 60 minutes of fire means we get straight to the point. Let's do it. Welcome to CSP Hot Hands 60 Minutes of Fire. We're episode number 23, the MJ episode. Some would call the GO episode, but I have a feeling that would make our guest super uncomfortable. So I'll just say it's a really fun episode. Excited for our guest today. Mrs. Fastest to $1 million in career sales, just hit 1.5 million herself. Anastasia Esquivel from our Seattle office in Washington Division. We're so excited to have you. Anytime she references a resource that's available to us, she's going to share it with me after our time together today. So that way we can put in a resource folder for you and get you ready to jam. So if you have any scripts, templates that kind of come up in conversation, we don't need to go through it now. We're going to spend the bulk of our time on these hard-hitting questions from our CSP community, Anastasia. I want to directly thank those of you who submitted questions for this episode. It would not be very fire without their help. It'd be more like, I've been to Seattle 3 times. It'd be more like going to Seattle and not going to Pike Place Market. It's still cool, but come on. Like what I was not expecting from Pike Place Market, Anastasia, was the flowers. Flowers are like out of this world awesome. So you gotta get there. Gotta get out there and check it out. Benji Lehman, Chelsea McDougall, and Austin Moyer all getting questions selected for this episode. And don't forget, we got Benji joining us live today. If you ever don't want to wait on the episode to launch, just email me at bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. That's bwiggins, WIGGINS, at vectormarketing.com. We'll get you a calendar invite so you can join us live. Are you ready to jam Miss Esquivel?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Hey, let's do it. Awesome. Well, hey, first of all, how long have you been selling Cutco?
This is my 7th year.
The
knife thing. Yeah.
In the business doing the knife thing. What is your yearly sales breakdown typically look like 7 years in? Like what percent's at the booth, business gifts, closing, all that?
I would say about 1/3 of it is
Hmm.
fair and show,
Yep.
and then almost 2/3 is service calls. That has changed. So, I used to do demos. I did
Yep.
virtual only for like a year and a half.
Yep.
But nowadays it's almost all service calls.
Wow. Okay. You are definitely from that Seattle organization, which I want to get into. I think it's so healthy, those averages, especially for somebody who's built and grown their business so quickly as you have. What other titles do you have in life outside of Cutco, Anastasia? We're talking sister, wife, mom, any of those?
I'm a fairly recent wife. Got married to
Congrats.
another Cutco guy because Cutco people are just so great. I had to snag one
They're
for
pretty
myself.
great. They're pretty great.
I am a homeowner, which is
Awesome.
exciting, and a daughter and a sister and a fun friend.
I think we glare over things that a lot of our team get to experience in their 20s that a lot of their peers don't experience until their 30s and 40s, like being in a position in their life to be married, like being in a position in life to own a home. Now, are you suburbs? Where are you at in the Seattle scope?
It's between Seattle and Tacoma. It's a little town
Okay.
called Auburn, right in the
Okay.
middle.
Awesome.
It's like a downtown area,
Okay.
really old house, 100 years old. So
That's
not
here.
everybody's
Here's
house.
what's so cool. I'm in Indiana, and Indiana has slowly caught up to the rest of the nation in housing. We don't have to get into the details, but I'll just tell you guys right now. For those of you, we have some listeners that aren't Cutco reps, but they're in sales. So if you're not familiar with the Seattle area, I'm just gonna tell you right now, not cheap to buy a house near Seattle. It's not. Gotta sling some blades to make it happen. That's so cool. That should be celebrated. That I think we just kind of glare over it because it's like, oh yeah, you're a CSP, of course you own a house. Well, no, most 20 somethings don't. So let's talk about it. Last fun thing that you did besides slinging blades, what was it?
Most recent thing is I went on a cruise, a
Nice.
Mexican Riviera cruise with some of our coworkers.
That's
So
cool. Was this just a fun trip you planned with them, or was it like a region incentive situation, or?
it was an incentive for like our Washington team.
Oh, dude, you guys are doing it right. You're
We
doing it
get
right.
spoiled up
Now,
here. So
was this pre-Budapest for Austin? Was it post? Was it just you guys, or?
it was just CSPs,
Mhm.
and it was like, yeah, pre-Budapest. It was like 2 weeks ago or something.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, that's fun. Best year ever for CPO for you. What was it? When was it?
It was 2022, the year I got the Rolly. It
Nice.
was 300, like 56,000.
So cool. Awesome. And then what's something like you got in the works right now? Maybe it's an order, a program, a business relationship that you're excited about. That it hasn't happened yet, but you're like, it's on the cusp and I'm really fired up about it.
Like a specific order or just like
It could
in
be an
general?
order, it could be a program that's new to you, something.
Hmm. I will say something I'm excited about is to dive more into the business gift
Hmm.
layer.
Yeah.
Um, Instead, I've tried to kind of, do the office thing, do the networking events, and
Mhm.
it's just been really challenging to get the ball rolling. And at our kickoff conference, we had Julian Landry speaking.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but when he said it, it really clicked with me. Is just, what do you do for work? Ask everybody. And the thing that was really different is instead of only pitching business gifts if they say they own a business, for example, they say, oh, I'm a teacher at an elementary school. Oh, that's awesome. The reason I ask is we actually have this really cool business gift program, and you just pitch it anyway.
Because they're
Just
going to know
pitch it.
somebody that can
They might know
benefit from it, or they
somebody,
might have a side hustle. They might, yeah.
maybe their spouse, maybe you can just transition right into the family program. It's
Yeah.
really similar things, right? It's used all the time, it's super
So
special.
that's just his power intro for all conversations. And then it's like
Just to
choose your own
practice.
adventure from there. Good for it. Julian Landry has not found his way onto my nominations list yet. Would you be right now saying he'd be a good nomination for the podcast?
Yeah.
He's
He
at it. He's at it.
Yeah, he just recently moved to the West Coast, so
Mhm.
he's new to me as well.
Nice.
But
Okay.
when he said that, like, just pitch it, just to practice, just do it, I that really clicked with me. So I'm
It's
excited for
funny
that.
how we can hear the same thing 9 times, but it takes that the right way for it to speak to us and our brain for it to click, which is why it's so beneficial to have multiple circles, to go to the conference, to go to the meeting, to be on the call, because you never know when you're going to hear that thing where like you might not need to hear anything new, but you need to hear it a different way.
Yeah.
You are the string queen. Has anybody dubbed you string queen yet? Because I feel like it needs to be a
They
thing because
call me
you're
the consistency
I
queen.
like string queen. It's kind of, I don't know, it's got a little ring to it. Consistency is the name of the game for you. The fact that you're at $1.5 million in sales in 7 years, but your biggest year ever is 350, that gets my attention. What are the habits that go into becoming a marathon runner as a CSP versus a sprinter who can burn out easily?
Yeah, the I will say people, you would think that in 4 years, if I have a string of at least 1,000, I'm working like a dog, like all the time.
Yep.
But my manager likes to mention too, like I go on vacations a lot. Okay. I do a lot of travel.
Yeah.
I got married within that year. I had a honeymoon. I've been to like Europe, like all over. And it's really those weeks that I feel like make it or break it for
Mm.
a lot of people. If they're going on vacation for 5 days, and there's only 2 days left in the week, it's like a travel day. Like I'm going to be unpacking. It's like
It's
whatever
all
the
or
week
nothing.
brings on.
It's all or
It's a week
nothing all the
pretty.
time. Yeah.
But for me, I had to hit my string. So if I, for example, have, either the Tuesday right before I leave or the Monday when I get back, I'm fully stacking that day. And so that way, when I get back from a trip, for example, even if it's over a week, I get my momentum right away. I'm not scrambling on, oh, I have to rebuild
Mm.
and how do I get back into it? How do I rebuild the rhythm and the schedule? No, the schedule's already waiting for me. When I get back, I don't have to do any phone time. I already have the appointments waiting for me, and it gets me jumped right back into it because oftentimes it's easy to get stuck in that lull of vacation mode,
Yeah.
right? So,
And it's what I tell my team, Anastasia, it's like nobody wants to come back and phone. It's kind of like the
yeah,
difference between practice and a game. We've all been in high school sports before where we've had teammates that if it's a Saturday morning after a long Friday night out and it's a practice, they'll text coach and be like, "Hey, I'm not feeling too well today." But if there was a game Saturday morning, you're not calling, you're going to the game. And the game is the demo, whereas practice is the phones. I love that it's your string is your standard. And it's
yeah,
just like, I don't care what the situation is. I'm not missing my string. So how do I do both? It's not, and what I loved about your answer is it wasn't X's and O's. You didn't walk through, well, I phone on this time and I do this day and I do this. It's just like, I know the assignment. It's to not drop my string. So what do I need to do to set that up? I think that's a really healthy way to not stress out over the business. And it's just, no, I'm hitting my string and whatever I need to do to set that up for success, I'm going to do it. You talked about taking time off. The way it was described to me as a young manager was I'm like a car, and a car has an exhaust system for a reason. If it doesn't have that smoke blow out of the muffler, it's going to blow up the engine. So
yeah.
for you, how do you strategically put in those vacations or time off or whatever the case may be? And then when you're planning that out, what does that side look like for somebody that says, "Hey, I am looking to take a vacation this summer, but I still want to have a really great campaign." How do you think about those weeks and months?
Yeah. So my manager, Austin, and I created just like a monthly goal sheet, and we can plan pretty accurately because it's my 7th year. And so I have some months that are green. It's like if I hit my goal, whatever, it's really flexible. It's mainly all service calls. And then, for example, September and August, I can't take vacations. That's my state fair. And a lot of our biggest events are in August.
So as a
And
7-year veteran who's at $1.5 million in sales, I just want to make sure people don't miss this. You have seasons of the year. For you, it's September, October, it sounds like, that it's like, if I were to take time off then, it would hurt the rest of my year. You choose to go all in and say no to anything outside of Cutco. I don't want to say anything, but a lot of things outside of Cutco, because that's where you're making hay. That's where you're reaping what you've sowed all year long. Yes.
yeah,
So you're giving yourself permission to go all in on Cutco because that's the time of year that it makes the most sense. So it would take a very, very, very special opportunity, a sister's wedding, a special once in a lifetime thing for you to take time outside of the business during those 2 months. But then the other 10 months there, it's like, dude, flexibility, city, we're doing a lot of stuff.
yeah. And I'm a big color person. So having it color coordinated is like perfect for me. Because yeah, like I have some yellow months, like maybe I can take a weekend off and then um some I can't. So for example, in August, 2 years ago, we did have someone that had a wedding in August. And I could have just taken, a day or two to go to the wedding and come back.
Yep.
But I was like, well, we're already going to be there. So it's like, might as well go see family and friends. And
Yep.
I took a week and it hurt my business by 80K. Not just that week, but losing that momentum, not getting the leads from those
Yep.
events in my red month when I know I shouldn't have taken it off. It really dipped my year to like 280. We're looking back, like what happened? Why did I dip so much?
So what's
A
that?
red month.
So, and I was saying September. It sounds like it's August, September. So I think I was saying September, October. But
Yeah.
what happens in your head when you're like, your brain is telling you, don't do it. Don't, you know not to do this, but maybe your heart is saying it's fine. It's fine. You're there anyway. What did you learn through that experience? Because I, like, for me, I mean, our managers work very hard at certain times of the year, and I'm included in that. And for me, it's April, May, June. Like, those, and then if you want to go a little bit not as extreme, but it's November, December. So those 5 months, I'm really, really locked in. And there are a lot of things I say no to, or I'm late to, or the case may be, but there's a conversation on the front end with my wife or with my kids of like, hey, like, this is the time of the year that allows us to go to Budapest for 7 days and take you. You're welcome, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's the, so what is it? What did you learn through that experience for the next time something like that happens?
Working with Trent Booth and the Veritas Leadership Group over the last decade has unlocked things within me that I never knew existed until they were coached out of me. If you're listening and you feel stuck or like you have another gear that you're having a hard time getting to, Trent's offering a free intro call to any of our listeners. I love Veritas because it's an amazing combo of mentoring and coaching. I get what I need when I need it most. It's also a flat monthly rate, which is awesome for anyone looking to give it a shot with no contract and no long-term commitment. Schedule a call with Trent today by going to linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the 2 E's.
What will you do differently? And what would your advice be to somebody who's struggling right now as a CSP going, yeah, but I don't want to miss the thing with the family, even though it's during state fair season or whatever. What's your thoughts on that?
It just made me really aware of what am I prioritizing. If for example, I could have just gone to the wedding for the day
Mhm.
and gone back and still had that time and not missed out on, I didn't have to extend it and like make it a whole thing.
Yeah.
So it really taught me to prioritize and recognize, like, am I willing to give that up?
Mm.
In some cases, maybe you are willing to give up
Yes.
CPO because
Yes.
it's more important, because it's family and
But
it's
do the math, know what number you're giving it up. Because when you say CPO, it's like, yeah, I'm only giving the CPO. If you would have done the math and stretched out and gone, I'm giving up 80 grand, which means I'm giving up in profit at probably like 30 grand.
Yeah.
is this worth 30,000? If I had to pay $30,000 to go spend an extra 3 days with my family, I'm going to do it. There are some situations where maybe there's a family member that is sick, or yes, the answer is yes. But 9 times out of 10, the answer is like, I love my kids. There are other times to spend time with them, right? So I think that's such a cool learning experience for you in your 20s to have, to be able to carry forward. And hopefully, if you're a CSP listening today, you're like, "Ooh, I need to actually I need to do the math to find the truth of what I'm truly giving up in that situation." What did, for your first couple of years as a CSP, what are things that you don't have to do anymore, but they were necessary to get you to where you are now? And the reason I ask is because your business has evolved over the years. At one point, you're single. Now you're married. You don't own a house. You do own a house. There's a lot of up and coming CSPs that listen that want to emulate people like you that are performing at a high level and have a life that's awesome. What do you want new CSP candidates to know when they look at you in 2025 and go, yeah, but your schedule's this? What don't they see from 6, 7, 5 years ago that they need to know?
That I have done in the past that I don't need to do anymore is what you're asking?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if this is specific, if this is
Sure.
taking your question a different way, but I used to do a lot of phone time, and it takes time to do phone time.
Mm-hmm.
And for demos, it's what you needed to do because it's all referral based and they don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to, make a first impression and all that. But
by the way, if the from a manager perspective, if the answer is ever your reps need to phone more, never ask permission to say that ever again. That's literally 98% of my job is getting people to realize they need to make more calls. So I'm so glad that was part of your answer.
Oh, it's the biggest part of the business.
Yeah.
And blocking time out for that.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because most of my leads are from fairs and shows and past customers, I text a lot.
And I think there's a relationship and a trust that must be established to be able to evolve to that. So new reps see you texting and they're like, oh, I'll just text for appointments. But in reality, that's not possible for them without first developing those relationships to be able to build that. So at what point do you feel like you were able to transition to texting solely for those?
Well, I really had to set proper expectations at the booth. For example, if someone comes up, hey, I'm going to be reaching out over text. Is that okay for you? That way they know I'm going to be reaching out. They're not, you want expectations to match reality, right? For customers. That way they're not caught off guard. They don't think it's a scam text or anything. So setting proper expectations. And then I remember I had one Memorial Day sale and I was like, I texted all my past customers, hi, this is Anastasia. This is a new way of me to reach out and stay in touch. Save this number in your phone. But it's been really efficient with scheduling because I can text all my leads at once and they're not waiting on me.
Yeah. You can pick, hey, I'm going to be doing service calls in this area. You can run a radius for that and then pop it out. Those are easy, low-hanging fruits to get. And then obviously there might still be some phone time if you're like, I have one slot left. I got to fight for this. It's kind of like I could text my wife anything. And if we agree to something, I know it's going to happen. Like we have 10 years of marriage, 12 years of knowing each other. Like we have ultimate trust and relationship. As a new rep, if you plan on having that type of trust with somebody who doesn't even know who you are, we got to develop, you have to earn that. And it takes calls. It takes time to be able to do that. I think that's really valuable for people to know and see. And I'm sure if you had a really, really, really great lead that was cold, but you knew it was a great lead, you're probably not texting that one. You're probably like, hey, this is worth my time to develop a new relationship. I'm going to call, I'm going to do something special.
Or even if I still get, some demo leads, I'm still calling those because they've never met me, right? A past customer or someone at a show has at least met me before, but if they've never heard from me, the first time we're getting in touch is call.
you're not treating every lead the same. And I think that's what makes it the right way to do it is every single lead is a different situation. Some of them have placed dozens of orders with you, and some of them don't even know what Cutco is yet. So what mistakes do you feel like you did make while building your business? If you could go back in time and you could tweak anything or change anything, from one of Austin's comments about you is, hey, like she basically doubled her sales every year for a while. What mistakes did you make that you feel like you could help other reps not make that are trying to have that same trajectory?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I feel like my schedule and my calendar right now is like I live by that.
Yep.
And so I would say that I, in the past, I was in school, so it was just a little bit different, right? School's a priority and Cutco's on the side,
Yep.
and I would schedule stuff around it. But when I did start doing Cutco full time, it was challenging to make a schedule because I don't have anything else on the calendar, but I'm not trying to work 24/7. And it was really hard to find out what that balance is. And for a point, I would try to do like as many appointments as I can. But at least my personality type, I get really burnt out and I'm a pretty emotional person. So, what my manager and I have discovered is when I'm tired, when I'm like overworked, like I don't show up to my appointments. I just am doing the bare minimum. I'm like, okay, we have this. And I'm like trying to get home and I'm just like exhausted. And so, what we have going on now is we found that like 4 appointments on a regular week, 4 appointments a day, I feel energized. I feel ready. I'm showing up to each appointment best. Short answer, I'd say, is watching my energy levels because pushing yourself, yeah, it can create some CPO in the short term, but it's not going to create that marathon runner that can keep doing it week after week after week after week.
Yes.
And so, really watching my energy, both for appointments and especially for shows. It's still something I'm still working on, but I've made mistakes of that in the past of pushing myself too hard. And I'm just trying to be more conscious and aware of how I'm feeling because it does affect how I perform. At least, like I said, as an emotionally charged person, if I'm feeling good, I'm selling a lot.
Sure.
If I'm not, it goes the other way.
I think the older that we get and the better our skill set gets, we realize that our energy management is actually the most important part of the equation. A lot of times, whether we make the sale or not, or whether we have a good week or not, is not dictated on, well, did I say the right thing? Or did I study hard enough on my scripts or whatever? It was actually, how did I feel before the week or the day even started? And what was I doing to prioritize that? And I'm not, I'm blaming myself because as managers, oftentimes when a rep's new and they're a student, we create this do as much as you can culture with their fast start to get started, which is necessary to teach them hard work. But then a lot of times we don't correct it once they've identified themselves as a long-term rep. So kudos for you for identifying it because a lot of people, they go into CSP and they treat it the same way they did as a student. And then before they know it, they're like, well, I guess I can't be a CSP and a blank, fill in the blank wife, fill in the blank husband, fill whatever. And they just need to think about the business differently. For you jumping to that 300K plus realm, can you think of anything that you see other people making mistake wise that's keeping them from making that jump to 300K plus in a year that's kind of holding them back, or maybe it might be even something else that you feel like held you back until you got there?
I would say that I have dedicated days for Cutco, and it's like I'm treating it as close to a 9 to 5 as possible. So For example, in a normal week, Sundays I take off as a personal day,
Yep.
unless there's a fair or show. And then Tuesday is my admin day. So I'll do emails, texts, calls, schedule more appointments, all that on Tuesdays. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For me right now, it's 5 days a week. They're my Cutco days. And in my schedule, if I have, 4 spots and then the third one, they canceled or they no-showed. Life happens, obviously.
Yep.
I used to be like, oh, awesome. I can go get some food. I can watch a show.
Yeah.
I can sit on my phone and scroll. But nowadays, that is my dedicated time for Cutco. So I'm kind of known for living at Starbucks. The reason why is they're in every single city. It might be a Seattle thing, right? We have a lot.
Oh no! Wait, I mean, from where I'm
too.
sitting right now in Fishers, Indiana, a suburb of Indy, within 15 minutes, there's probably 6. So like, yeah, it's all over for sure.
They're
And
everywhere.
dude, those stars add up, man. Just
They
just
do.
get the stars rolling.
But
Life
I
hack.
always count on a clean bathroom and
Yes.
Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And so I have my laptop with me and I'll go sit there and I'll knock out some work. I'll schedule more appointments, respond to emails. But if that is my work time, I'm doing work, whether it's an appointment or I'm sitting and knocking out emails or texts.
Yep.
And so that's been a big shift, is like I'm dedicated time to work. I'm going to fill it up with work stuff, not take it as an opportunity to dip out and do something.
I think as your time gets more constrained and you only want to spend X amount of time on Cutco per week, you take that time a lot more seriously. I don't know if you ever do this, but do you ever think back to when you were, let's brand new 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and you think like, I had so much time. What did I do with it? What was I doing? I would work 70 hours in a week. What did I do? Because I definitely wasn't working the entire time, or results would have been a lot different. Now I work a lot less, but get bigger results because, to your point, that time is so focused in on exactly what needs to get done. Your thought about, hey, I treat it like a 9 to 5. A lot of times I hear reps saying, well, I only want to work it as a 9 to 5, but then they try to be so show heavy. And it's like they're trying to get all their CPO from the booth. What clicked for me was, if you are prioritizing demos, service calls, that puts you in the driver's seat of when you work. If you're putting too much emphasis on shows that other promoters are responsible for, well, now you have to adapt to what they want. And you continuing to do demo, service calls, all that. I love the, hey, 4 a day when I'm working. That's the focus. That allows you to be in that driver's seat. Love that. And as somebody who is married, your priorities have obviously shifted a bit in the business, out of the business. Did it take that to shift your thinking on what a day of work or what that 9 to 5 like Cutco position would look like, or were you already implementing those things way before those changes in your life?
Yeah, I used to work later in the evening because I didn't mind, because I didn't have anything else going on. I just come home to myself.
Yep.
But nowadays I try to have my last appointment at 4:30, 10, 12, 2:30, 4:30. And the reason why is because I want to be home and cook dinner, and I want to spend time with my husband.
Yeah.
I want to, watch a show, play a board game, eat dinner together. And I noticed when I was coming home really late, we didn't even see each other. So I made those adjustments because, we want to spend time together.
Yeah. Really blocking your time. So just to clarify too, if you had a customer that was like, oh, I can only meet at 6:30 p.m., would it be abnormal for you to say, sorry, that's not available in my calendar? Would it be abnormal for you to respond and say, hey, sorry, that's not going to work for me, we're going to have to find a different day? Or are there moments when you do begrudgingly agree to do a demo outside of those constraints and then you regret it later?
Um, so for example, Sundays, I just say, oh, I don't work Sundays.
Yep.
So that's like a hard line for me. Like,
Yep.
sorry, I don't do Sundays. I can do Saturday. I don't do
Yeah.
Sundays. So that's like a hard line. Um, Later in the evening is a little bit more flexible, but I still only do 4.
Got it.
So I'll shift the other 2
So you're
later and
not
I'll do
adding that appointment
4 hours.
slot. You're pivoting it. Yeah.
Yep, because I know that that's where I found my energy levels best. So I'm happy to, yeah, shift them all a little bit, but not just, yeah. So
Yeah. I
can't
think I
say,
think you've really I always try to tell people, hey, the job can be whatever you want it to be,
yeah,
but you've got to actively make that choice. I want to go back to something you talked about with you and Austin and planning. If you could describe more this yearly plan that you guys make together. You've got green months that are more flexible, right? And you've got the goal is kind of maybe a more of a range, and then the red months where it's like, hey, these are the big months for CPO that I'm going after. What is that? Is that yearly? Is that every campaign? Is that yearly and then you touch base every campaign? What does that planning session and document look like? And what are some things that you guys accomplish during it? Are there any questions that you ask yourself on a yearly basis when creating that?
yeah. Austin is like, we are doing this business together. He's been like the best. I'm like a creative, color coordinated,
Yeah.
person, and he's my Excel guy. And without him, um, I don't. I'm not really on top of my numbers. Like I was nervous when you're asking like, what was your, biggest year? What portion is this and this?
You're
I'm
like,
like,
let me text Austin real
yeah, let me
quick.
text
Yeah.
Austin. He knows. So he's like the numbers Excel guy. And so he's been really, really helpful. So I talk with him a lot. This year, we actually meet weekly. And I know that's not the case for most CSPs. They're
Yeah.
on their own, doing their thing. They got their system down. But I find a lot of value from my manager. He knows me the most. He's the one that interviewed me, trained me, has seen me in all these different phases. And so we have, yeah, at the end of the year, we kind of look at the numbers. We plug in how many shows I'm expecting or, can roughly estimate that I will be doing for each month, how many service call slots I have. So, for example, if I already know I'm going to Costa Rica and a cruise, then we account for that and we know, okay, well, I'm going to have less service calls and all those numbers trickle down. And we just look at how much CPO, what percentage that is of the year. So if it's a high percentage of the year, either shows or service calls,
Yep.
then that's my work time. And if it's green, have one show and no vacations, like whatever.
If there's somebody listening right now that is they're going, oh, I'm not a numbers person. This is so boring. You got the standards and you know how many service calls you need, but that's not fun. Well, because you're a creative person, it sounds like you don't like numbers either, but clearly your business is built on them and you've
Yeah.
partnered with somebody who is serious about them. What's your response to somebody that says, oh, it's so boring?
This is bad, but I made my spreadsheet really pretty.
Not bad. I love it. So
So
that's your
I
way
have
of
like,
getting excited about the numbers. It's not about the numbers. It's about the greens and the palettes and all
oh, I
this.
made it like pastel. Let me tell you, it's so pretty.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we have like a toolkit that I learned from Rob Brandt.
Nice.
And he had a toolkit, and it just taught me. The reason I coached with him for a little bit is because I really needed to learn stat tracking. I was not good at numbers. And so I was like, okay, just plug in every week, plug in the numbers. And it was, it taught me just the habit of doing that. It's in my schedule to plug in my stats.
Yep.
And then
So you're not like, because a lot of reps, it's like when they hear plug in stats, it's like, oh, from the show for my coordinator. You're plugging in stats for yourself, just on normal service call weeks. You're keeping track. How have you seen that benefit you over the course of your career, keeping track of your own stats, knowing closing percentage, completion percentage, average order, service call versus demo, all that?
Well, because in the past, because my manager is a numbers guy, we'd be like, well, what was your average order? Campaign one. And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, let's count. And we go through.
And that was so painful. You're like, I never want to do that again.
Yeah, it was like really tedious to go through and manually do stuff. And now we can get through those planning meetings so much faster because I can look back at my 2024 toolkit and I have all my little tabs and I can pull it up. But I really, made it my own. So I would say make it pretty.
Make it pretty. Get the pastels out.
But I just have in my schedule to add it in. It's a lot easier on a weekly basis. The other nice thing is I have it like I just write it down and add it up. And it's like, oh, that customer rescheduled. So, okay, I need to text them to.
So it's like your weekly review.
Like a little reflection.
Yeah.
Make sure I don't miss anything. So it's like, oh, they rescheduled or they canceled. Okay, I need to reschedule them. So it just keeps me on top of it.
Anybody that is like looking for this magic pill or like, how did she grow so quickly to 1.5? You're just doing the things that everybody has told us to do for years. And it's the boring stuff, but you've made it fun. And you've made it to where you can enjoy it and you understand the value of it. One of your strengths is implementing new scripts. And I think this is something that for us, whenever we have new events reps, new CSP candidates, scripts is something that we almost have to sell them on, where it's like, why does so-and-so have, a $800, $1,000 average order? They will tell you it's the scripts, but it's like, they're like, no, what's the real reason? Like, what is it really? I want to talk to those new reps for a second. And in terms of like skills they should focus on to start, and then what would you recommend waiting on? Like everybody.
If you're still tracking and categorizing all your own expenses, I have a message from your CPA. Stop. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are your goals include growing your sales. And one way to do that is delegating admin responsibilities by trading time for money. Rising Stock and MyBooks.pro is exactly what you need. Rising Stock is an all-encompassing financial tracking and coaching program where MyBooks.pro is exactly what it sounds like. They just do your books. You can choose to just have them track your expenses or take advantage of everything they have to offer. Do your business and your CPA a favor by scheduling a free intro call today at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the two E's.
Waiting on, like, everybody gets excited about what's called the family program or their ultimate close or whatever the case may be. What are the skills that you're like, hey, as a new full-time CSP, here's what I would actually be spending time on that cannot wait. Like, get good at these foundational skills first.
The power intro is every single customer, every time they come up. I'm speaking more of like fairs and shows right now. If we can do sales calls, we can do that too. But every customer that comes up, they're going to hear a power intro. So how are you introducing Cutco? I think is really important. Making it super simple. I actually am in a phase right now where I've had lots of different coaches and lots of different styles and techniques and displays. And I was just like trying to mash them all together. And we're like, okay, basic.
Probably didn't sound very consistent is my guess. It was
just like confusing. Like I'd have customers be like, wait, what's in that again? So like keeping it really simple, just explaining the product. And so power intro, simple product and explanation. And something I'm still working on, but I think is really important, is objection handling. Expect that every customer will have an objection, because you don't want to get thrown off by that. Like, oh, they said no.
Yes.
No, they're going to have an objection. I need to have, the system on how to handle it.
It's
I,
almost like, how can you get yourself to actually be surprised when they don't have an objection? And it's like,
yeah,
oh, all right, let's go. That's a way better response, right?
yeah.
So memorize, power intro, make it simple, those scripts, and then objection handling. Until you have those two things down, it's probably fair to say like all that other stuff is just neat. It doesn't really matter that much unless you're able to get there based on your power intro, based on your objections. Is there anything else, if you could go back in time, talk to yourself when you first went full-time CSP, advice that you'd give to yourself to cause you to have that growth even more quickly?
It might be very specific to me, but maybe it can hopefully resonate with someone
Sure.
else. We have a lot of veteran reps on our team, and I feel like I look very young. I
You definitely could pull
I'm
off anywhere from like 16 to like 34 believably. Like I'm
depending on what I do for hair, makeup, flexible.
Yeah.
But I had really like low confidence for a long time because I'm like, people even to this day are like, oh, is she's just your daughter? She's just here hanging out. I'm like, no, I have a Cutco polo. Like I'm working here. And so I just often thought that people aren't going to take me seriously or they're not going to value what I'm saying because they think I'm just a kid. But I'm learning to just embrace that and how I present myself and how I act and how knowledgeable I actually am. People see that and they're kind of surprised. They're like, oh, okay, no, she's serious. I love when like a customer comes up and they're like, do you even know what K-bar stands for? Or they like ask for something like, thinking they're going to fool me. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Boom, 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 boom. And they're like, oh, shoot. Okay.
What did
She
it take to get you to believe that about yourself? Because I'm sure it's not just oh, I just realized I was. Like, what was there a moment? Was there a conversation? Was there what happened to get you over that hump?
For a while, I remember when I was in AM running interviews too, I was like, well, I'm the one running the interview. I would like put my hair in a like librarian bun, like an updo. So I was like,
Yep.
I feel, put together and it's like put up. And then the other big thing is posture. I'm really working on my posture. So standing, sitting at the booth or standing like this is just kind of slouched shoulders. Is not the same as when you're standing shoulders back, chin up, and just posture, I think really made a big difference. It's something I'm really focused on.
Man, you're looking for little tiny opportunities everywhere. And it's like, if I could get better, why wouldn't I get better? If this could be an advantage for me and my business, why wouldn't I try to do it? When somebody's like focused on that minute of details, it's like tied to like it reminds me of like if somebody says, okay, my main priority this year is to increase my closing ratio at the booth to 90%. You don't think about little stuff like that unless you're focused on small incremental improvements. And I think that goes back to your planning and hey, how am I going to have X amount this campaign while working Y amount less? I need to improve those averages. I brought this up to our team. So what I always do, for those of you that have never submitted questions before, I have whoever is getting interviewed, like Anastasia in this situation, list their strengths. And one thing that you listed, Anastasia, is playful character. And I brought it up to our team when I was like, hey, make sure you submit your questions for Anastasia. Here's what she listed. By the way, she listed playful character. I'm sure that makes sense to you guys, not makes sense. And everybody was like, yep, that makes it. Like anybody that knows you was like that, yes. Could you go into that? Why you think that's one of your strengths and what that actually means in terms of like interaction with customers?
Yeah, it's, if you're nervous or not sure what to say, you're not making jokes. Like you're just trying to get through the script.
Sure.
I feel like when you are making little playful jokes, it just really shows that you are confident in what you're doing. And so I found that that's really helped, again, kind of make myself feel like I know what I'm doing at the booth. If a customer is laughing, they're having a good time. I really like to smile, and I just think if the customer's having fun, it's relaxed environment, and it's like a no pressure environment. So confidence, no pressure, they're having fun. And I just love seeing their reactions. Like one of my favorites, I do it on service calls a ton, and I just seeing the customer's faces always, it's just always fun. Um, it's so a lot of people think that Cutco is guaranteed for life, but we actually don't have a lifetime guarantee. And it's because we have a forever guarantee.
Dude,
and they're like,
I don't know
oh
if you
my
know
God.
this. Where did you get, because there's meaning to this. Where did you get that from? Was that at a conference? Was that a Vector Connect talk? What was that?
I'm not sure on that
So,
one because I've been doing it for so long.
so
But
dude, that is that. So I modeled my demo as a rep 17 years ago off of John Berghoff. I'm a big, like, I would listen to him nonstop in the car, and that he would have a sheet on top of the forever guarantee, just like you said. And it would be like, oh, we don't have it was basically like, hey, you would build up the petite carver to make them believe it was $300 by itself. And you'd be like, if this one knife costs $300, what type of a guarantee would you expect it to have? And they always say lifetime. And you're like, oh, to your point, we don't have a lifetime guarantee. And dude, flipping that page was just like, let's go. That's a W. Oh,
yeah.
that took me back. That took me back. So you're also big on customer relationships. Do you feel like there's anything you do out of the box, out of the norm that maybe most people aren't aware of or aren't doing that you feel like really builds that trust and that community with you and your customers?
Yeah. I heard at a conference before, I don't remember if it was Chelsea Rodriguez or Deanna Scortino, but they mentioned that your top customers, they probably don't know that they're your top customers unless you tell them. They don't know that you're like their favorite person, that you're their most loyal customer. So I really make an effort to tell them. Again, I'm a crafty gal. I even have all my little pens and stuff right here. But I love to handwrite notes. And I will put it in a bright colored envelope and wax seal it.
Oh,
Just
that's
so it really
cool.
stands out. I want them to
Dude,
open their
Queen
mail.
of England style.
Oh,
Yes.
I even have a typewriter. I whip that
That's so awesome.
I really want it to stand out in their mailbox, and I want them. So I really love on my top clients. I send them tickets to my fairs. I send them little gifts.
What's your number that you feel like you can you can handle, put extra effort and energy into your gold? Is it a number that it's like, hey, I might delegate out thank you cards, stuff like that to everybody else, but for these, I don't know, 10, 15, 80, 150, what's your number that you feel like you can actually fulfill that gold client standard to without stressing yourself out?
I feel like I have about 20 that I like marked in my CRM, and
Yep.
they're like my most
So just to be
loyalty.
clear, you're not doing the wax stamp for the person who bought a trimmer 8 years ago that you haven't talked to in a while, right? But what I love about it is that a lot of people, they're just stuck in their head of, well, if I don't do it for everybody, I can't do it for anybody. And it's like, no, that's not how the business works, and that's not fair. Fair is treating everybody differently based on what's the value that you're each bringing to the table here. And yeah, the customer that has a long-term value to be able to add to your business, that has bought a ton of gifts in the past, that you just both genuinely love being around each other, that should be a different relationship than the person that's just transactional. And there's nothing wrong with that. We want those customers too. I'm not giving them away, but
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely. Anything else? So you said you got a typewriter. Have you typewritten? Have you used the typewriter to send any thank you cards or notes or anything like that to people?
I'll be honest, I mostly use it for like friends for birthdays.
Dude, I
Not
want
as
it.
much customers.
I want it, and I want a picture. We're gonna put it in the resource folder. Somebody in the top 20 is getting a typewriter message. It's gotta happen. That's so cool. That's
Like
so
I
awesome.
want them to know that it was handmade. Like I took the time to
Oh,
make
that's
it.
true.
And so at some like anyway, yeah.
So, last question that I wanted to ask, and it doesn't have to be one thing. It could be multiple things. So don't feel the pressure to get it perfect. But what's something that I probably should have asked you today, Anastasia, that would have helped our team most?
While I think on that, I did want to circle back to when we talked about implementing
Please.
new scripts.
Yeah, go for it.
And I feel like the reason why I'm always ready to jump onto it is because it keeps it fun and different and interesting. Because after I remember I was like doing demos, and I'm like, I can't say the exact same thing this many times. And I just felt like really run down. But when I'm always trying out,
You go into autopilot. You really do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So always like, okay, I'm gonna ask different questions. I'm gonna, switch things up, change the order around, but still keeping, all the same basics, of course, but trying out those new little phrases is what keeps it fun and interesting after doing this for so many years. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So what is that fine line? Because what I was just talking to Jordan Thomas, one of my old reps. He worked with me for 4 years. He's at a new sales company, doing awesome. And we were just catching up, and he said, "Yeah, I think one of the reasons I'm sticking out of my cohort is what you taught me." He said, "Don't change the recipe, but change the seasoning." And I
Mhm.
think that's what you're talking about is don't, yeah, the script is the script. Where do you draw the line between it's okay to change this part or not okay? Or is there even a line? Is it just knowing the objective? And as long as we're getting to the right point, it's okay. Is there anything that goes into that decision making process, or is it not that deep?
I am open to trying different displays and different scripts at like my smaller shows just to test the water, see how it goes. But for example, for our state fair, I'm not messing around. Like I'm finding what works and we're doing that. So I'm not trying new stuff out. So I'll say at smaller shows I'm a little bit more flexible.
That's when
And
you're going to try out new material. It's kind of like a comedian. Like if you've got one night at Madison Square Garden, you're not testing anything. Like it's like I'm going with the greatest hits.
yeah.
But if it's a small show in downtown Indianapolis with 10 people at it, that's where I'm trying out stuff. So I love that you're aware of when it's not the time to try out the new stuff, but you're open-minded to trying, I don't want to say anything, but it sounds like anything if the risk isn't there. It's like, hey, this is a small show, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, if I'm gonna implement stuff from people that are doing it better than me and that are the best in the business, right? So if there's a reason they're doing so great. So
Yeah.
I'm open to trying it out. I really just feel like I'm not in this myself. I really love our team here and I feel really, really supported. Again, I have a really close relationship with my manager who always has my back, who knows my numbers, who is like, yeah, really thoughtful in how we approach stuff. And I really am appreciative of him, especially. But just, yeah, having teammates. I just really know some CSPs are zoned in and they do their thing. And if that works, that's awesome. But I really lean on my people, my group, my team, role playing scripts, practicing new stuff. Hey, can you hype me up right now? Hey, you're doing awesome. You're the best. And I just know I can always get a text like that when I'm feeling down. And that's what really helps is I'm not some superstar rep. I've just been doing the right thing for a long time, I guess, and it's
It speaks
accumulating.
to your longevity though, because if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, get with that tribe, and you found the tribe that really jives with how you want to do the business and you want to do life. And I think that's valuable for people to hear because sometimes we can talk ourselves into believing I don't need anybody else. I can do this on my own and become that lone ranger. I know for me, that was my branch summer. That's when I had that realization was like, oh no, this is not going to a fun place. And I realized that I did need other people, and there was nothing wrong with that at all. It was actually turned into a strength. find that tribe, find that CSP culture and group that you really are going to get pushed best by and there for you, and be kind to you, not just nice and tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Encourage you. I think that's a great hack to share to come to the end of our time today, is find that crew that's going to be that for you. And Anastasia, we're in such a unique situation because no one is required to give back time to the team or our CSP community at all. And you're getting nothing out of this besides helping our team. And that means so much to us. You're also playing hurt. You lost your voice this weekend at a show. The amount of respect you showed today by doing the right things, your setup, drinking tea beforehand. It's little, right? But it's like, no, you made a commitment and you're going to make the most of it regardless of how you felt. It confirmed everything that I've been told about you. There are many, many people that have bragged about you. I'm wearing my Western Region swag today. I got from Gilbert. I don't know. Do you have this sweatshirt?
In white, but yeah.
Holy cow. I think this was made out of clouds. This sweater is amazing. Whether it's people from the Western region or people like Benji who are from the Midwest that just have either met you or heard you talk and was like, we got to get this girl on the podcast. You really confirmed everything today. You go about things in such an awesome professional manner, but you still have a lot of fun. And the amount of authenticity and humility that you showed today, shining light on other people, like you're just somebody that the CSP community is lucky to have, and I hope more people try to emulate their business after yours, because it's really, really, really exciting to see somebody that's so young excelling at such a high level. I know Austin, when I asked him, hey, is there anything I can ask Anastasia about on the podcast that you'd be excited about? He's like, dude, I'm excited for people because she's got such an amazing Cutco journey and story, and just, I know you know this, but he's super proud of you. So thanks for coming on today. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much. My honor. My pleasure. Thank you. I feel so special.
Yeah, you are special. You are special. And you know what? If you're listening, you're special too. If you enjoyed today, be sure, subscribe, turn on those notifications from whatever your favorite platform is. Don't miss the 15 Minutes of Flames version of this episode when it comes out, or our next 60 Minutes of Fire. This is wild. We have one more episode. One more before I take my summer hiatus to go recruit awesome students like Anastasia once was. Marissa Mayer coming up later on this month. We'll see you for that one. Have an awesome day. Thanks for listening, and for some of you watching, I want to remind you that all resources from today can be found at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the EE. If you want to be a member of our live Zoom audience for one of our upcoming shows, email bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. That's BWIGGINS@vectormarketing.com. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be honored if you followed, subscribed, or even rated us on whatever platform you use to find your 60 Minutes of Fire. We'll see you next time.